Permit me to congratulate you the 1-year anniversary. Today, we have chosen not to mark with fanfare, but to modestly remind us of the achievements that we have made in the last 1 year. So I crave your indulgence to permit me to address you in the following terms. Honorable colleagues, today, 9th June 2016, marks the 1st year anniversary of the inauguration of the 8th House of Representatives. Permit me to request that we cast our minds back to the historic day when we were sworn in as members of the House of Representatives in these hallowed chambers. That event was greeted with a lot of hope and expectations from Nigerians after a common sense revolution swept aside the ruling party and ushered in the opposition into office for the first time in Nigeria's modern political history. Honorable Sheun.
Please, members should be seated. No, I don't want to write. Please, members should be seated and listen to the speaker in silence. Even those of us that were defeated on this day, I listen to the speaker in silence.
Honorable colleagues, there was not just a change of guards at the executive level, but also at the legislature as well. The change involved both political parties and personal. Honorable colleagues, as we look back to that day, it remains for me great honor and exceptional privilege to serve you as the Speaker. I still tremble when I recall or reflect on the trust and confidence you reposed in us to lead this great chamber. By the grace of God, we shall not let you down. The House of Representatives is a platform where different and diverse ideologies, interests, languages, religions, cultures, political persuasions, philosophies, diversity of opinions contend for attention and relevance. It is a great tribute to the men and women who belong to these hallowed chambers that has always maintained a tradition of common purpose, patriotism, and non-partisanship in taking crucial decisions on matters of state. Therefore, salute all. You will recall that we took off on a very democratic note with the transparent election of the presiding officers. This was followed by the controversy surrounding the appointment of some principal officers for both majority and minority parties. I'm highly pleased the honorable members have worked as a family since then. And legislative activities were pursued in this legislative session with so much vigor, dynamism, and commitment. It can only be argued correctly that one legislative year a 4-year assembly is rather short for success or failures pressed. As the foundation year, an appropriate legislative framework is expected to be put in place. Nevertheless, it is in our own case, in the one legislative session, we have put in place appropriate legislative frameworks, reform operations and processes, and have recorded notable accomplishment, especially in relation to our great legislative agenda. The 8th House of Representatives has adequately prepared the ground for effective contribution to the change agenda of the administration through legislation. The question today, honorable colleagues, is how far have we fared? Have we met the expectations of Nigerians? This to me cautions that are very imprecise in themselves, and we can only imprecisely address them. Leadership drafted a legislative agenda 2015-2019 to guide legislative activities for 4 years. The proposed agenda was thoroughly debated by honorable members and approved. Since we unfolded the agenda, a lot of effort has been made towards implementation. There's no gainsaying the fact that we've made some quantum leap in that direction. Therefore, permit me to present the highlights of our scorecard in the past legislative year. In the first place, we set up a committee of experts to undertake legislative needs assessment of the National Assembly on August 14, 2015. The final report is awaited. Respective committees, we successfully carried out the selection and placement of members in various committees, which were inaugurated on 9 November 2015. Many committees have worked very hard, but we have had to take measures to enforce timelines for delivery of committee reports by divesting some committees of jurisdiction where there is an undue or unwarranted delay in reporting. Many other committees were set up in this session to deal with various subjects. Some have submitted their reports, while some reports are waited. The House made good its commitment to implement the use of templates, manuals, and standardized formats for committee activities by appointing an ad hoc committee headed by the Chair Committee on Federal Judiciary to carry out this all-important assignment. Its report is also awaited. The House has also reviewed its standing order twice, on 17 October 2015 and 20 March 2016, in fulfillment of our agenda. An ad hoc committee on code of conduct for honorable members was set up. The committee produced a comprehensive code of conduct for honorable members, which has since been adopted by this House. Consistent with our legislative agenda, the House set up a standing committee on delegated legislation with a mandate to ensure that the process of rule-making, regulations, and other subsidiary legislations by MDS are properly followed. The House agenda committed to making e-voting a regular feature of House proceedings. The introduction of electronic voting by the House is still in progress, and the use of emails to send copies of the notice paper and other paper to honorable members has been achieved. The House is working hard to establish the National Assembly House of Representatives radio and television station for better access to legislatures as we committed. On budgetary matters, we are happy to report that the commencement clause of the 2016 budget reflects suggestions we made in quadrants and our agenda to aid budget implementation by the executive. And it says, and I quote, "In line with the provisions of Section 318 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, this bill will run for a course of 12 months, starting from the day it is assented to into law." Our commitment to plug revenue leakages, the House set up an committee to investigate alleged misuse, remittance, non-remittance, and expenditure of internally generated revenue by ministries, departments, and agencies. The report of the ad hoc committee is awaited with great impatience. On legislative initiative on the Northeast, they have constituted a standing committee on refugees, migrants, internally displaced persons, and initiatives on the Northeast zone. Furthermore, the House passed a resolution on rehabilitation, reconstruction, recovery, and development of the Northeast zone of the country. Request Mr. President to set up the machinery for the establishment of a Northeast Development Commission to facilitate the convening of an international donor conference or summit as soon as possible for the reconstruction for the reconstruction, rehabilitation, recovery, and development of the Northeast Zone of Nigeria. In addition, public hearing on establishment of a Northeast Development Commission has been concluded. The outcome of the report of that public hearing is awaited. We have made giant strides in lawmaking. Lawmaking has continued to be dominant among three primary functions of lawmaking: representation and oversight.
Order, please. Please, honorable members. Silence.
Honorable members, we believe that for the change agenda of the government to be achieved, the legislature must complement government policies and programs with legislation, such as the production of new laws, review and amendment of existing archaic and obsolete laws. Past legislative session of the House can be considered as one of very high legislative activism compared to earlier periods. During the legislative session, June 9, 2015 to 9 June 2016, a total of 685 bills was received in the House. The bulk of these bills did, about 98%, 675 of them were members' bills, 10 executive bills, and out of the bills, 416 are awaiting second reading. 130 bills have been referred to committees. 3 bills are awaiting consideration. And it is instructive to observe that 85 of these bills have been passed by the House so far. Therefore, we wish to congratulate all of us on this feat that has never been attained. The number of bills introduced in the last 1 year represents the highest annual consideration of bills by the House since the return to democratic governance in 1999. Therefore, congratulations. All the bills presented to the House have passed through first reading, thanks to the dedication of all of you who realize the urgency of change and are more than prepared to sit in the chambers from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. most legislative days. By this achievement, we have demonstrated to the country and indeed the world out there that change can only be achieved by positive actions and not by mere talk. A major factor in the heightened bill's introduction in the House relates to the implementation of one of the elements of our legislative agenda, namely review of the laws of the Federation. In the session, I inaugurated a committee comprising renowned experts, jurists, lawyers, civil society advocates, and other stakeholders with the DG National Institute of Legislative Studies as chairperson. This committee was charged with the responsibility of reviewing current laws of the country with a view to updating them, recommending repeal of obnoxious and outdated laws, etc. After exhaustive review of the country's laws and statutes, the committee submitted 2 interim reports with over 250 laws reviewed. This has resulted in the unprecedented introduction of 130 bills, which scales reading on a single day in 2015. And only yesterday, 8 June 2016, 100 bills were introduced for first reading. Let me seize this opportunity to thank all members of the committee, of that committee, for their uncommon commitment and patriotism. On the issue of House resolutions, the House has done very well in the initiation and consideration of motions. More motions were processed the 2015-2016 legislative year than the motions proposed in any other legislative year since 1999. By June 8, 2016, this is the record. 530 motions were introduced, out of which 15 were withdrawn. Significantly also, the bulk of the motions moved were considered and resolutions passed accordingly. Public petitions has remained a major tool for citizens' access to the legislature. 306 petitions, of course, excluding the ones we received, were introduced in this legislative session, and many have been processed. On sectoral debates in the context of the House agenda, sectoral debates were introduced on various aspects of the Nigerian economy as part of legislative initiative to address national problems. First dealt with diversification of the economy and has been largely concluded. The House has already begun the novel debates beginning with diversification of the economy. I explained during the commencement of the debates that the broad objective of the sectoral debate is to deepen engagement of honorable members and the executive on national development policy issues and to promote the enactment of appropriate laws to enhance Nigeria's economic growth and development. At the inaugural debate, 6 ministers made presentations on the sectors they were overseeing. Following ministers made presentations: Honorable Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Honorable Minister of Communications, Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Commerce, and finally, Honorable Minister of Finance. Not only has the prospect of crafting new laws improved, the debates will lead to better oversight performance. And very importantly too, they have helped to improve executive-legislature relations. Subsequently, other themes will be examined in the course of the debate. The sectoral debates being the phase of its kind in Nigeria, where specific time is being allocated to debates on various sectors of the economy, will be sustained. The House agenda committed to making e-voting a regular feature of House proceedings. This is a very important feature of the legislative agenda aimed at modernizing the work of the House and creating a paperless and more efficient parliament. Some progress has been made on the e-parliament initiative, which will operate on the platform of modern, up-to-date digital technology. An advisory committee on e-parliament has been set up, and it is expected to make recommendations on the implementation of all aspects of e-parliament in the second session of the House. And on May 26, 2016, the House commenced the process of introducing electronic voting. Forms have been distributed to individual members to collate the data ahead of production of e-voting cards to all the 360 members of these hallowed chambers. The implication of the new system, honorable colleagues, let me warn, is that records of each member's punctuality and voting patterns can easily be accessed by his or her constituents and members of the public. Greater responsibility and accountability is therefore called for on the part of all honorable members in the discharge of their constitutional responsibilities. Besides, we have also introduced the use of emails, as I have said earlier, to send copies of the notice, paper and other paper to honorable members. Our expectation is that in the second legislative session, electronic methods will be used to send votes on proceedings, reports, answers, and other parliamentary documents to the honorable members of this House. No doubt significant progress has been made on the implementation of the agenda of improving internal operations and processes, not Notwithstanding, some areas remain to be effectively addressed in the second session. And honorable colleagues, in conclusion, let me say that on behalf of the leadership of the House, we deeply thank you, and to say that the work of change always comes with the urgency that it demands. I want to plead with us. We have begun very well. The beginning of a matter is not as important as the end of the matter. We have begun very strong, and we must end very strong, or even stronger than we began. And that can only come with the commitment of all honorable members. And I joined you to continue to give us the leadership, your support, and together we will set records that will endure to generations. Thank you, God bless you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.